Welcome to today's episode featuring Back to the Water. Imagine a tranquil haven where fears melt away like sand between your toes, and the gentle rhythm of the waves beckons you to rediscover the joys of movement and connection. Such a place exists, and today we'll explore the transformative Back to the Water Retreat, which empowers women over 55 to conquer their fears, learn to swim, and reclaim their confidence. Join me as I speak with Diamond Crystal, the Galavanting Grandma, and Nikki Singletary from Ignite This Ish about breaking down barriers and myths surrounding swimming. Together, we'll celebrate the healing power of water, the strength of community, and the incredible journeys that await us all when we take the plunge. So, without further ado, let's get started.
Hey y'all, hey, it's your girl Diamond Crystal, also known as the Galavanting Grandma, and I'm excited to be here today. As you can see, I'm not alone. I have some guests with me this afternoon, and we're going to be talking about the swim retreat. So I have my collaborator, Miss Nikki Singletary of Ignite This Ish, and we are so happy to have Miss Devon Austin of Blackit Radio. That is online radio, you guys. And we're going to talk about Back to the Water. All right, you probably know about me if you follow my channel. I am the Galavanting Grandma, and I am a global nomad, 5-star house sitter, and a travel ambassador for Black women over 55 who are looking to embrace a life change with grace and ease. Enough about me. Let me throw it over to Nikki. Nikki, introduce yourself.
Hey guys, my name is Nikki Singletary, or I go by Nikki sometimes. I'm a software engineer with a focus on web, and then also have a degree in UX design, which involves like design aspects and user experience research aspects. And so I have an organization with a co-founder named Asad, and it's called Ignite This Ish. And the premise for it was because when we were getting our UX design degree, we would have these ideas for products that would benefit the social good. And a lot of the feedback was, well, how are you going to make money off of it? And it's like, well, we don't want to make money, but this is a solution that can solve a social problem. So that's the background behind Ignite This Ish.
All right, so let's go ahead and introduce Miss Devon.
Hi there, everyone. My name is Devin Austin, and also known on Blackit Radio as the Divine Miss D. And I am a retired expat living in Costa Rica. Been here since 2016. And when I got to Costa Rica, I didn't find very many African Americans here. So my dream was to tell people to come on down. So I started a Facebook page called Black Expats in Costa Rica, and a website called Black Expats Living Life Abroad. And when that didn't bring in enough people, I co-founded a radio station called Blackit Radio. And I said, everyone, come on down. So right. People are joining us here, and Costa Rica's taking off. A lot of people are leaving the United States, and we want to provide a platform for those people to get information and resources for moving abroad.
All right. Well, that sounds like a story of determination to me. You know, if not this, then that. And if not that, then more. Right. So we are happy for Blackit Radio. It's on 24/7, right?
It is 24/7 music and talk.
Yeah. So there are some great formats on there. And I encourage everybody to tune in. And we're talking about Costa Rica. And both of you guys are in Costa Rica.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, so it is growing. All right, so Costa Rica is a common thread between the three of us, because about a year ago, Nikki and I met in Costa Rica, and that was kind of my sister girl call out that I do every place that I go in the world. I'm like, hey, I'm coming to Costa Rica. I'm gonna be in San Jose. Who's here? Who wants to get together? And Nikki was like, hey, let's get together. And we did. And at that time, we had no idea that we would be sitting here, 2024, in a collaborative state over such an important initiative as Black women who don't know how to swim. So that's how we met. And then just this year at my Wanderlust Wellness Retreat in Costa Rica, I met Lady D, and she came to our retreat, enjoyed the evening with the Sister Sharing Circle, and was part of our 360 photo booth. All the things. We had a great time.
We did.
I'm not going to speak for you. You tell me.
No, it was a great time, and I kind of work as a welcome wagon in Costa Rica for the expats that come in, and I often meet with them over lunch or dinner, and we discuss different questions and things that they might have, and I just try to set their mind at ease for making the transition from the United States or wherever to another country. And so it was really nice to get together at your retreat for so many beautiful Black women telling their stories and everyone just kind of getting together. It's great because we don't have a lot of Black people in the area where I live, but we have enough. And when we have something like what you had your retreat, we seem to get a lot more people. So we need a lot more of those retreats in our area.
Okay, well, thank you so much for that confirmation. Nikki, we taking notes, right? Because this is a 5-year initiative, Back to the Water. So Back to the Water may be coming to Costa Rica at some point or another.
We got a lot of water.
Y'all got a lot of water. And there's a lot of sisters who don't know how to swim.
Exactly.
So that's what we're really going to dive into today, is how did Back to the Water really get started? And it started with me. Honestly, any project that I undertake really is organically grown from my own personal need. So, I grew up on the water. I grew up on Long Island, New York. Doesn't make sense that growing up on an island, I didn't learn how to swim, but I never did. But I still love the water. It's always been my place of refuge. It's the place that I always took myself when I was looking for answers and for peace and understanding. But I never learned the skill of swimming. And as a global nomad and an international house sitter, I have been around the world at some of the most beautiful waterfront places, and just being disgusted with myself that all I could do is sit on the sidelines and on the shoreline and not really enjoy the Pacific Ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, the Mediterranean Sea. I mean, I just got really mad with myself about it. Mm-hmm. And I decided that this was going to be the year that I actually conquered that fear. And so when I was in Colombia, just in February, it was a picture perfect beach day. You couldn't have asked for a better one. And I'm sitting there and the water is just so calm and blue and beautiful. And so I'm walking to the shore, talking to myself like, you can do this, you can do this. And the fear overtook me once again. And all I could do was sit in the sand and let the waves just wash over me. Not too much because I'm afraid still, right? I got up from that sand, walked back to my beach chair, and I was like, that's it. We're going to do something about it. And I decided if I've got this fear that I want to conquer, there's got to be other women who look like me who have the same fear. And that's where Back to the Water was born. All right. So fast forward. I did the Wanderlust Retreat in Costa Rica. And the whole time in the back of my mind, I know I'm going to do this swim retreat. And so I put up a video, a very funny video of this monkey who was in a small pail of water and fighting for its life in a pail of water. And it resonated with me because that's how I felt anytime I got close to the water. I'm like, I'm going to drown. I'm going to die because I had a near-death experience. And from that video, I got so much response. One of the first respondents was Nikki, and she was like, girl, I know exactly how you feel. And from that point, we started a conversation that led to the development of Back to the Water 2025. So, Nikki, I've been talking. You tell me what it is about this project and why you decided to get on board.
Okay, so back to the creation of Ignite, it was to use our skills to solve social issues. And so the people on our team, we have like blended backgrounds. So some of it is in tech and design. Some of it is in like community organization and like critical race, LGBTQ rights, I think is another one. And then some cybersecurity. The list goes on. But when you combine those things together, we can solve problems with a like multifaceted skill set. So when it comes to Back to the Water, even though like we can do some things on the back end, like create the website and use all the digital tools to start like getting the traction going, doing some of the desk research to understand like who's the target audience and how do we cater to them. The end product would be to create a case study and create a blueprint that can be used for the other groups that are affected by swim disparity. So let's talk about these other groups, because your group is women of color, senior women of color. So we're talking ages 55 and up. And swim disparity hits the Black American community and it hits the senior community. In terms of gender, I haven't found a source that really shows a discrepancy, but the two major things are, people who are in the senior category and people who are Black Americans. And then we've got other categories like the American Indian category is high up there when it comes to some disparity, and so is the Hispanic category. And then when we go back to ages, children ages 1 through 4, I think, have the highest drowning rate. And then after that comes the ages of 65 and up. And there's a connection there too. And so when we talk about the interconnectedness, when we cater to your audience of women of color 55 and up, we are going to tackle some disparity among Black Americans, among the senior category, the senior age category. And then it's like, well, what does that have to do with the children having the highest drowning rate? Well, if your parents or your grandparents didn't know how to swim, then you as a descendant might have only had a 19% chance of learning on your own. So some of this is generational. Some of it starts with the leaders of the family, the matriarchs or the patriarchs of the family, and so on and so forth. And so as we work on this project, and yes, it is a 5-year plan minimum because swim disparity is just so large.
Yes.
We do want to work with, this primary audience here, and then we want to branch off into how are they all connected. So we will work with children, and we will work with other, races and ethnicities. And then this is also global. I'm just saying that it's global. I'm not saying that but when we look at the stats for one of the first things we looked at was a documentary called Aquaphobia. So their stats were for the UK. Or we just got a volunteer. She's from South Africa. She mentioned her stats there. And so what are the commonalities, and how do we can still look at the bigger picture even if we don't have the capacity to tackle it. But the key here is to learn and to execute a plan, and then create a blueprint or something that can be repeatable, and then we can retrofit it for future groups.
Yeah. I think, it just, it speaks to the fact that it's larger than us. Right?
Yes.
And I don't know, when you started, when we first started this collaboration and you started giving me those statistics, I was astounded. Because I know what, swimming has looked like in my immediate family. My sister and I never learned to swim. My mom didn't know how to swim. So we never had those swimming experiences growing up. I'm the oldest of 3. My brother is 10 years my junior, and he learned to swim. And so why? Because I feel there are a couple of reasons. My parents had more time by the time he came along. They had more discretionary income to be able to give him these experiences. My dad knew how to swim, but I never learned. My dad came into my life when I was almost double digits. I was almost 10. And so I already had a deep-seated fear at that point. He used to say to me, I tried to teach you, but you were going to drown us both, because the fear was already so deep. But when my brother was born, for a lot of different factors, right? And so my brother learned how to swim, and so it stopped with him and his family. But both my sister and I, we never learned. What about you?
I wanted to interject something here too, as I was thinking as you guys were speaking. And I've never really thought about it in the same way that I'm thinking about it when we're talking about people that don't know how to swim. But, when people are making their decisions to move, to leave the United States, generally speaking, they're usually looking for a place that they can go that's going to be less expensive than the United States. which often brings them to places like Costa Rica, Mexico, Panama, places like that, that generally are known for their beaches.
Yeah.
I've noticed, and I kind of put this together when you guys were talking, it is very important that you have some instruction about swimming, because water can be very dangerous. Here in Costa Rica, there are rip tides. Mm-hmm. There are people who have just leisurely walked along the water in places probably where they probably should not have been. But if you don't know things to look for, if you don't know where the dangers are, then you will just go willy-nilly walking down. And a lot of people are killed in Costa Rica by riptides and things of that nature. So it is very important that you learn to swim and that you have some instruction about how to take care of yourself when you're in areas where there is water. I mean, regardless of the fact that it's just nice to know how to swim.
Right.
You know, you want to go in the water for the fun of it or whatever. But there is a safety measure that is also attached to that. And I thought about that as you guys were talking about the fear of water, and we're thinking we're all in these places where there's this water.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I just wanted to throw that in.
Well, I think that that's vitally important because, you know, I almost lost my life in Portugal. And that was 2023. You know, I was doing exactly what you described. I was walking along the shoreline of a beautiful beach in the Algarve by myself. And I was looking at some cute pictures, right, to show that I was at this beautiful place, right? You know, I'm doing it for the gram. I'm like, yeah, hey. Back up one step, back up two steps. Well, the third step, it was out of control.
Yeah.
And I was only up to my ankles, but the earth disappeared from under my feet.
Right.
And, you know, thank God I had an angel in the form of a man who was on the beach enjoying the afternoon with his wife. And he realized that I was in distress. And
you were lucky because, you know, especially here in Costa Rica, there's not a lot of lifeguards.
And not at all. There are no lifeguards.
You know, so right. And people just think you're just out there.
Right.
You know,
right.
So
I'm holding my phone up as far as I can, hoping that somebody's going to see that and understand and recognize the fact that I'm about to lose my life here, you know, for the sake of a picture. Right. And so that was a turning point for me as well. And I started to delete that video from my phone, but I saved it. I didn't know why I saved it, but I saved it as a reminder. And it really was the first video that we shared when we kicked off this campaign, this initiative, because it can happen in a split second. That video was less than 60 seconds long. And I'm telling you, had it not been for that man, I wouldn't be here today.
Right.
Yeah, so it's very frightening. It's very frightening.
Also, I was also thinking when we were talking about the statistics, the gender statistics, since we don't really know what the numbers are, I would bet that there are more males that know how to swim than females. Because it appears to me that if I can remember back, guys, you know, they would just from California, you know, they would just head off to the beach.
Yeah.
That was a fun thing for them. But for the Black women, I don't ever remember a time when we just headed off to the beach somewhere. We might head off shopping, you know, or to get some food or something like that. But it wasn't really something that we did. So I bet if there were statistics, it would probably be that there are more males. Yeah. Black males anyway. I don't know about females because, you know, it's a whole different thing, especially if you're not Black. Because they spend more time in the sun by the water for tanning and all that. So since we don't have to do that,
stuff, right? Yeah. And I mean, let's keep it real, ladies. I mean, you know, I'm natural. We're probably all natural haired women at this point. But back in the day, that was not the case. And you're not getting your hair wet.
No.
Absolutely.
You don't go home to your mother with your hair wet after she pressed it.
Oh, no. I mean, that hairstyle had to last.
That's
and she was upset if you came home and it was not in the same condition that it was when she toiled over it, because that's really what it was.
And I can even remember, you know, my daughter was born in 1982. So this is way after when I was born. And when I went to our family reunion last year, for a while we had a roommate, and she was white, and we lived in Santa Monica. And so she took my daughter with her and they went to the beach one day. I didn't even remember this, but she brought it up at the reunion that she took my daughter to the beach, and she said, and the worst thing was she got in the water and she messed up her hair.
Yeah.
And she said when she got home to me, I was livid. Well, I had to take my daughter to the hairdresser.
Right.
To have her hair done. That meant, you know, it was costing me money. But she still remembers that. This is like back in 1990. My friend is still remembering how upset I was.
Yeah.
That she went to the beach with my daughter and her hair got wet.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't remember that story. But it probably was true, because I would have been.
I'm sure it was, because that's a real thing. Yeah. I have my own personal story. You know, my daughter is she'll be 33 in December, right? Now she spent time with her father's side of the family, where she learned to swim in New York. We were in Northern Virginia at the time, and my daughter had natural hair. So she goes to her paternal grandmother for the summer vacation. And all of a sudden she says, Mom, I have a perm. And I'm like, you have a what? Because I was not about that for my daughter. I said, you have a what? Why? And so I'm upset. I'm livid, right? So I call her grandmother and I'm like, why would you do that? And she was like, I couldn't manage her hair because she wanted to go swimming every day with her father. And I mean, you know, so hair is a real thing for us.
Very much
It
so.
really is. It really is. Nikki, how are you feeling?
I remembered, okay, so I was told when it came to our hair and having a perm in it, that if you got it wet, it would fall off. So it wasn't so much that my mom was mad. It was like, I don't want my hair to fall out.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So if it wasn't in braids, or if I just got a perm maybe like a few days ago or a couple weeks ago, then it was like, okay, I can't get it wet. So that was my stance on the hair. And then I didn't become natural until around, like, in college is when I became natural. So,
well, you know, as a mother, anything we can say to keep our kids from getting their hair wet.
Yeah.
All off, whatever.
But you know, I think that where do those old wives' tales come from? Maybe it's, you know, it's the chemical that's in your hair, and it's the chlorine, and the combination of the two makes someone think that your hair is going to fall out or your hair is going to get damaged. And yes, your hair probably will get damaged. The perm is doing its job anyway, as far as the damage. But then you add in chlorine, and
chlorine is always a big thing.
Yes, chlorine was a big thing. And then we didn't always have the same hair care products that we have now. We didn't have, you know, the swim caps that are satin lined that we have now, right? So it really was a big thing. And not knowing how one would interact with the other, it just made sense. It's not going to be a good combination.
Right.
Right? So don't do it.
It's definitely a pass down.
Yeah.
It's definitely a pass down, because I don't ever remember just on my own necessarily thinking about why we didn't go swimming or anything like that. It was just, it was your hair. That was the only thing I can remember. It was your hair. It was the chlorine. And so you just didn't do it. And none of your friends did it either.
Right.
So you didn't have, you know, so that wasn't a big deal. You just went to do something else.
Yeah.
We weren't really known for swimming back in the day.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I mean, it definitely was not part of my social engagement, right? Going to the water, most definitely. You know, fishing, crabbing, catching lobster on Long Island, all of that, bonfires, everything but embracing the water.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Time for a change.
It is definitely time for a change. And, you know, it's time to overcome the fear, because the fear is real, right? You know, you can swim if you can get outside your head. And that's exactly what I'm trying to do this weekend. Y'all pray for me. The swim coach is coming to Albuquerque, where I am right now. And tomorrow this time I will have had 2 swim lessons.
Oh, 2
in the pool. I know.
So how many lessons does it take before you learn how to swim anyway?
We gonna find out. You listen,
You'll be reporting back, please.
Yes, I'm gonna have to. I love receipts, so I'm gonna provide receipts.
All right.
But I've partnered up, Nikki and I, with a swim team out of Jacksonville, Florida, called Diversified Swimming. And when we started talking to them about, you know, what the goals were for this 10-day retreat back to the water next August, I said I want 95% of my guests to walk out with swim skills. And she said, oh, no, 98%. And 95% are going to be jumping off the back of the boat into the ocean by the time we get finished. So the level of confidence they have as certified swim instructors is helping to alleviate some of my building anxiety about tomorrow, because I have a lot of anxiety about being in the pool and not having control.
Nikki, can you swim?
Oh, I just started taking classes here in Costa Rica.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when I was younger, I never learned how to tread water or float, but I did learn how to doggy paddle, but you fatigue really fast when you doggy paddle. So here in Costa Rica, I think I'm on number 6, both in the ocean and in the pool. But it's submerging that's still hard for me. It's like it's too much. I don't like putting my face in the water. So we're getting there.
Yeah, I think it probably takes longer. It might take longer. I don't know. I don't have any stats on this. I would think it might take longer the older you get. Because I think the fear, I learned to swim when I was probably like 10.
Okay.
And that was only because we lived on Guam. And everything was water.
Right.
And when my mother would leave, we had a pool. We had several pools on the base. And so we would spend all of our time at the pool. And when it was summertime and we didn't have to go to school, I didn't have to worry about my hair.
Right.
I would just come home and wash it out and, braid up, have like a little nappy ponytail or whatever and go on about my business. So I learned to swim when I was 10. And I took swimming lessons and I was just ecstatic to learn how to swim, because if you didn't know how to swim, you could only go so far in the pool because they had the little
divide
there. Yeah. And so I was so happy that I could go down to the end and get in, go on the slide and, but after we left Guam when I was 12, and after I was 12, I never really went swimming again.
Is that right?
Yes, because now I'm back to the hair. As you get older, you really care about your hair. When you're 10,
right,
you don't care so much about your hair, which is about the age. I think my daughter was 8 when my friend took her off to the beach. You know what I mean? But once you start to get older, you do think a little bit more about your hair. But I already knew how to swim by then.
Oh, okay.
But I would think if I was learning how to swim now, I probably would not have the same excitement maybe about it. Maybe with this class, because people are specifically coming. But I mean, just as people in the world saying, oh, I think I'll just go learn how to swim. If you're 50, 60, 70, you're probably not going to think that. So it's good that there are opportunities now and information that we're putting out there, or you're putting out there anyway, to talk to people about learning how to swim and about how they can learn how to do it, about the necessities of it, about how empowered you feel when you can swim and you can take care of yourself.
Yes.
Just the things you can do. But I don't think just as people walking around, people probably don't think a lot about whether they can swim or not swim. You know what I mean? Just on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
But and when you're like you said, when you're in places like Costa Rica or places where you're around water, you probably are going to think about it a lot more than maybe if you live in Nebraska.
That part.
Where they're, I don't even know if they have any water in Nebraska. I guess they do, but you know what I mean. So
yeah. And then, just think about it. As we are in this mature age group where we have more discretionary time and income, right? We are doing all the water adjacent activities. We are on the boats. We are on the yachts. We are cruising. We are on the back of a jet ski. We are doing all the things we have absolutely no business doing without having basic swim skills, right? I mean, I think nothing of getting on a boat. It could be a dinghy. If it's going and giving me a tour around the island or, whatever, I'm like signed up. And no, I got no business on there because a life jacket is not going to save me when my fear is going to drown me. It doesn't make any sense.
Exactly.
And for me now, the generational trauma fear was broken with my daughter. And so my granddaughter now, who's 9, doesn't have any fear. And so I call her my little mermaid because, she's doing all the flips and the turns and the grandma, look at me. And I'm living life on the sidelines because I'm above the water, not in the pool, taking pictures like, go, baby, go. And she's like, come on, grandma, you can do it. And I'm like, listen, I can't save you, let alone me. So
Right.
we're going to play it safe right now. But, so I'm missing out on these life experiences because I don't have this basic skill.
Right.
And like I said, we're intelligent women. Why are we taking our lives into our hands doing excursions that really require a skill that we do not have?
Right. Why don't you tell me a little bit about the retreat? Tell our audience a little bit about the retreat that you're going to be having. I think it looks very interesting, but I'm going to let you explain it because I don't know all the details.
I am so excited. First of all, I said that the idea behind it was born in Cartagena, Colombia. And so that's why we're taking the retreat back there.
Right.
So we have solidified the city and the country. It is a 10-day Lux Learning Experience. So we will be in the lap of luxury for 10 days learning how to swim. The first 4 days will be intensive swim instruction. And we will be dealing with it holistically from a mind, body, physical, soul perspective. What are the things that are keeping you from learning this vital life skill? We're going to attack that, with some wellness and some breathing and all of the things that go along with getting outside of your head so that you can get into the water, so that we can go back to the water, because that was our birthplace.
Right. Yeah, that's true. That's true. So
Yeah. So save the dates. We don't have them pinned down specifically because we are hosting 25 women, plus our swim team, plus our videographer, photographers, right? So we have got to find the perfect Lux accommodation for 25 to 30 people. Not the easiest thing in the world, but we are so close. The places we've been looking at, Nikki, are you excited about the places we've been exploring?
Yeah.
I mean, they are just top of the line. And so, we're going to have a Lux Learning Experience.
So you're going to get this wonderful place, and then you're going to have the pool reserved?
Yeah, well, it will come with a private pool. The villa, the mansion will have its own.
Okay.
So we are alleviating any barriers. We're alleviating, oh my God, who's looking at me? Oh my God, I can't go in.
That's good.
My God, they know I can't swim.
Yeah, no, that's good because people don't like that when they don't know how to do something.
Absolutely.
So yes.
Yep. It's a thing, right? And we are talking about women who are 55 plus. Our bodies ain't giving 25, 30-year-old bodies no more, right? What you get is what you see is what you get. Right. And so we don't want that to be a hindrance either. We are all mature women who are here to conquer this fear once and for all. And so I have tried to alleviate any barriers there might be to learning.
That's wonderful. Okay, so now 4 days intensive. So it's 10 days. So the other 6 days are.
So the other 6 days, the swim team will be on site to give individual lessons if you want more, but they have guaranteed us after that 4th day, you're going to be swimming on your own.
It really doesn't take that long.
Right. If you come with the determination and you have the right set of instructors, I think that, in 3 days, you can overcome this fear.
Because as soon as you actually know how to go under the water and you're not afraid to be submerged under the water and you know how to pop yourself back up.
Yeah. And I have been told that it's easier to swim in the ocean than it is in a pool because the salt water it kind of gives you increased buoyancy. Yeah, so, I think as a celebratory experience as a group, for us to rent that yacht and all 25 of us jump off the side of that thing into the ocean is going to be just an incredible experience. You talk about
You're renting a yacht? You're having a yacht?
I said it was a Lux Learning Experience. You want to come?
I have to see if I can look into that. Oh my goodness, that would be wonderful.
Yes. So,
oh my goodness.
Yeah, so we are going to be swim buddies, accountability partners, and we are going to continue. That's why it's important for us to have a private pool wherever we are, so that when you feel like it's time for you to get back into the water, it's right there for you. You don't have to go anywhere. All you got to do is put on your suit, come downstairs, get in the pool, practice what you've learned.
Right. What are some of the other activities or things that will be planned besides just the swimming part?
Well, like I said, we're going to attack it holistically. So we're going to have some wellness sessions
Mm-hmm.
where we talk about, what the fears are and how we can overcome them. We're going to do some yoga exercises so that we can build up our bodies to be able to do the actual swimming portion of it. But then we're going to be in Colombia. It's beautiful. It's vibrant. So there are going to be some outings so that you can experience the country and the city of Cartagena, and some of the other surrounding areas. So we've got a lot of things planned for our ladies.
That's wonderful. That's
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm excited about it.
I bet you are. That will be a wonderful experience, and I think it will be something that people will take with them,
Mm-hmm.
and they won't forget it. Let's put it like that.
Well,
It'll be
why
one of
they're
those
not going to forget it?
unforgettable.
That's right. You know why they're not going to forget it? Because one of the things that they will walk away with is a video of the progression of their learning process.
Oh, wow.
So, we're going to capture them at the height of their anxiety and all through the process until they jump off the back of that boat. And they're going to take that home with them, that they can share their experience with other people in their lives who are having this issue, and and then they can get on the wait list for 2026.
Wow, that's wonderful.
Yeah. So I'm really excited about it. And let me just say, while Nikki is here, and I've said it before publicly, but let me say it again. When you have a dream, and I happen to dream large and in Technicolor, and when an organization like Ignite This Ish and Diversified Swimming come along and say, hey, we see value in what you're saying. We see how this can have a positive effect on the community. It is validating because, like I said, this was born organically out of a personal need. I need to learn how to swim.
Right.
Who else looks like me who has this same need? And for a nonprofit organization like Ignite This Ish to say, this is something that we need to tackle, and let's tackle it together. It's just incredible.
Are you taking reservations now for the event?
Absolutely. And people better get in on it now because the deposit is $250.
Okay.
And that reserves your space in a double occupancy room. As we move forward in our planning process and get more details, then we will have a payment schedule, etc. But that reserves your space. And again, we only have 25 slots. And I'm going to say as of today, we only have 22 slots.
Right.
Yeah, because we have gotten some deposits. Some ladies have said, yes, count me in. Others have asked for more details because they want to bring their sisters with them. Other friends who don't know how to swim. So I think it's going to be a global family reunion.
Oh, wow. I do too. And so they're going to be reserving. They can just go to. Do they go to Back to the Water?
Yes, www.back2thewater.com. And shout out to Nikki and all of her tech team because we have a beautiful website.
It is beautiful.
Thank you. And that's the power of collaboration. Because Nikki brings to the table what I could never do. I am technologically challenged, and she and her team come in and just whoop, we got that.
Mm-hmm. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So back2thewater.com.
Mm-hmm. And that's the number 2.
Back2thewater.com. Mm-hmm. And $250 deposit.
Right.
And then a payment schedule can be set up.
Right.
That, did you say you have the dates, don't you? Isn't it like July?
No, it is the last 2 weeks in August. So block that in the calendar. As we secure the perfect Lux venue, we will then know whether it'll be, the exact 10 days, but it will be 10 days the last 2 weeks of August.
Right.
Yeah.
Sounds exciting.
I was talking to an associate of mine in Portugal, and she was sharing with me. She's a veteran from the Navy, and she was sharing with me her experience of being on the ship, huge Navy carrier, right? And part of her initiation learning was they pushed her off the daggone side of the ship. Because you're Navy, you got to know how to swim, right?
Yeah, you would think, right?
You would think. So she said to me, she said, Diamond, they said on the count of 3. She said, and I was mentally trying to prepare myself for 3. She said, and at between 1 and 2, they pushed me.
Oh my
That part. And so she never learned to swim because she was traumatized.
Yeah, the fear.
Oh,
And I hear that from so many people. I think about my cousins. You know, my roots are in South Carolina. I have 26 first cousins. And, you know, at the end of the day, horseplay was just that. But we don't really understand how traumatizing sometimes horseplay can be.
Right.
You know, I have heard so many people say, my brother pushed me, my cousin pushed me, or somebody was, you know, Marco Polo, and you go down and somebody holds you down because they think it's funny. And how do you recover from these kinds of life traumas that you experience at the hands of those who love you? They're not trying to hurt you.
Right.
But
and when you get pushed off like that, you don't learn to swim while you're in there. You know, when someone pushes you off, somehow maybe you made it to the side, somebody threw something in, reached a hand out or whatever, but you don't generally learn how to swim by someone pushing you.
Well, I mean, you know, I've heard so many stories like that. And then, you know, I spent some time in the Caribbean. And it seemed to me like every man, child, boy could jump off the cliffs. And when I started talking to some of them, they're like, oh, yeah, you know, somebody pushed me. My cousin pushed me. He was down there to catch me and help me. But they all, you know, they're cliff jumpers. And I was amazed at this, right? I was also amazed at what the water represents to the elders. Because while I was in Barbados in particular, every morning, it was hella hot. Let me just put it that way, hella hot. So you were at the water at like 6:30 in the morning, the coolest time of the day. But the elders all gathered at the beach for water aerobics, stretching, etc. in the water. It was a social activity. It was an activity that kept them limber, you know. And so we talked a little bit about who's walking around at 50, 60, 70 saying, I need to swim. Well, that's one of the low impact types of exercise that you
it's a very good exercise
as you get older, right? So if you have arthritis, if you have joint pain, all the other things, you know, people are getting hip replacements and stuff like that. The water is the kind of therapy that you really do need at that stage. So, you know, if you haven't been an active person, if you haven't been a runner or a long distance walker, or, you know, I'm not a gym rat, right? So I'm hoping that I can incorporate swimming into a regular fitness routine that I now can enjoy. So, you know, there are physical benefits to it as we get older.
Exactly. That's so true.
Yeah. So tomorrow's the day, y'all. It's the countdown.
All my fingers are crossed. You'll be fine.
Fingers, toes, all the things. Eyes, I don't care.
I'm really confident that, like, it feels scary right now, but I think one, you'll do a good job, and then 2, I think you'll have fun. I think right now it's a little bit of the unknown.
Right.
Yeah.
You're going to be so proud of yourself too.
You know,
you're like, oh, what was I worried about?
What was I worried about?
It's going to be a nice high when you're done.
Right.
Yeah. Natural high. Yes. And you know what? I'm looking forward to being able to shift the narrative. Because my narrative is coming from fear, and that's all I've known of the water. It's a love-fear relationship. I love being in it, on it, in a vessel of some sort where I have some, you know, safe place to be. I love being on it, but I can't stand it because it almost killed me, you know? So it's that love-hate relationship that's going on right now. And I'm looking forward to, you know, this time on Sunday, being able to have a different narrative to share. Because if they can teach this grandma how to swim, I'll be their biggest mouthpiece, trust me. Because like I said, I like receipts, so I like giving receipts, you know? And I'm really looking forward to the empowerment that gives me. Yeah.
Good luck. I'm sure that it will be very rewarding for you at the end of the weekend. You know what I'm saying? And then you'll be a great example to other people, as you said. You know, so that's wonderful.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm going to be transparent enough to allow them to videotape me from the moment I get to the pool
Okay.
to the time that after a couple of lessons, I've gone the length of the pool. That's what I'm
And see,
going to
that'll also be an incentive though, because you know you
Yes.
can't get out of it. They're going to be taping me, so
Yeah.
recording me, so I got to do it.
I
Can't
got
back
to do
out
it.
now.
I got to do it. You know my favorite
No
hashtag, faith
excuses.
over fear.
Right,
Right?
just do it.
That's it.
Just do
So this is one of those big faith over fear moves, as
Right.
far as I'm concerned.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's wonderful. Can't wait to hear the results and see the pictures and
All the things.
and all the things and all the things.
Yeah. Listen, I can't let my partner Nikki be all up in the ocean in Costa Rica learning how to swim and everything, and I can't even get in the pool. That ain't even right.
Right.
Yeah. So I just really appreciate you ladies taking time out of your day to join me to talk about this really important initiative as we move forward. You know, we can move the needle in a positive way, no matter how small it might be. But you know, we're gonna help 25 Black women learn to do something they've always wanted to do and had fear of doing. And that's a great sense of accomplishment.
It is.
It really is. So, you know, and with Nikki and her organization saying that this is a 5-year initiative, you know, how many more people can we reach and make a difference? So, you know, the stats gonna move in the right direction. They're not gonna keep climbing. They're gonna move in the right direction. And it's exhilarating to be a part of that. Yeah.
Well, it's wonderful. I thank you guys for including me in this. I think this is so worthwhile and so helpful. You know, something that's really going to help people in my generation, really.
Yeah.
Actually, even younger than me, but you know, it's really a good thing. And facing your fears is also something that's very rewarding and empowering.
Absolutely.
We probably all know how afraid we've been to do something and how good we feel once we tackle it and actually do it, and then we could put that under our belt.
Check that one off. I mean, listen, you moved from the United States to Costa Rica. Tell me that wasn't, you know, that was faith over fear, right? You had never done it. For real, you know, let's not take lightly the things that we have already accomplished. You know, I traveled the world as a solo Black woman at the age of 62. You know, some people might find that daunting, but
a lot of people will find that daunting.
Right. And every time that I'm able to navigate in a country where I can't speak the language and still enjoy myself and have wonderful experiences to be able to share, you know, I'm badass all over again.
Right.
All over again. Badass number 3. That's me. You know, getting lost in Portugal, but, you know, not panicking. You know, being able to navigate the places that I've been by myself. Morocco. People like, you went to Morocco as a Black woman by yourself. I sure did. 45 days. Guess what? I'm here to tell a story. Nothing bad happened. You know, so I want to
This is wonderful, and you know, I'm behind you all the way, and you know, whatever I can do, and I'll certainly want to get this information out to our audience on Blackit Radio.
Yes.
So we'll be featuring it on my show. I don't have the actual date, exactly the date. It probably will be next Saturday, not this coming Saturday, but the following Saturday. On my show from 12 to 1 on www.blackitradio.com.
There you go.
And then I'll also put it on my website. Exactly.
Yes.
So, and I'll put it on the YouTube version on my website at Black Expats Living Life Abroad. So we'll get it in 2 places and plaster it all over Facebook.
Yes.
And
help us spread the good word. And you know, a lot of sisters who know how to swim are like, this is a great thing. How can I help? And there are lots of ways to support the initiative. You know, we've got sponsorship packages that start from the empowerment level all the way down to an in-kind donation or sponsorship. So, you know, we are talking to those companies that provide the goods and services that we will need at the retreat. We need swim caps. We need goggles. We need hair care products.
Right.
We need, all of these things to make it a complete luxe experience for the ladies. So there are lots of ways for you to help. And all of these sponsorship opportunities are on our website at back2thewater.com. So thank you so much for sharing your global platform with our initiative. It means more to us than you realize.
Well, as I say in Costa Rica, con mucho gusto.
Con mucho gusto. Con mucho gusto. Ladies, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Diamond. Thank you.
And enjoy your weekend.
Thank you, Diamond.
All right.
Okay. Bye-bye.